Hey guys, you're here early. The holiday was amazing. It was so nice. I went to the Canary Islands off the coast of Morocco, and oh my gosh, it was just so needed. I haven't had a holiday since last June, which for me is outlandish because I usually travel at least 5 times a year. And but then I've just kind of been shackled to my house through a house renovation. So it was just one of those holidays, all inclusive, no decisions made. I slept, I ate, and then I did it over again every day. And I just laid in the sun. Um, so yeah, it was very much needed and it was really nice. And escaping the weather, because the weather here in the Netherlands at that time was like -3 and 4 Celsius, which is like 26 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on where you're from. Oh my gosh. So cold. So, I was just really happy to watch that weather and not be in it, though, so it was really good. I also played volleyball. I almost won bingo. I was 2nd place for bingo, and also almost came 2nd for, blackjack as well, which they were just I wasn't playing for money or anything, it was just, giving, like, a spa day. So, yeah. Okay, it's 1 degree Celsius there now. Yeah, I usually like chill weather, but not yeah, 1 degrees. Oh, talk Sicily. 16 degrees. Yeah, that was a little bit warmer than Sicily. I would take 16 degrees right now. It was 0 degrees earlier, but the wind has died down, which makes all the difference, so I'll take it, honestly. Okay, I'm just gonna get set up live on TikTok. Give me a minute. Where are you, located where you have 1 degree Celsius? Where are you at? You've probably told me in a previous live, but let me know. Ah, yeah, Romania. Okay, so we're kind of on the same well, Romania's a little bit more south, I guess. But yeah, I haven't been to Romania. The farthest east I've gone is, Bosnia, actually. Oh, TikTok doesn't even let me go live until 10 minutes until I've scheduled, so never mind. Um, cool. I was gonna do something as well. It has been a busy day. I recorded a podcast earlier, um, which is very good. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm super excited to share it. And what did I also had something. And then I just got off the back of a meeting as well. I have this big proposal to a VP on Friday, so I'm trying to get some input before that happens. Okay. I guess I'll just wait TikTok. The podcast was all around kind of is it our responsibility as UX designers to kind of educate um, like other disciplines, like product managers, engineers, other stakeholders about like our job, like our value, what value we can bring specifically beyond just like pixels and visuals and stuff like that. Like, is that our responsibility to educate them? Or is it their responsibility to kind of already understand it? So we kinda yeah, we go into that, of course, like everything, it depends, and yeah, we talked about that, and also, like, how if you did wanna take the approach of how to sell design, like you're saying, um, like, what are some methods on, like, how to go about it, and, touched on kind of building trust, but also when to when to hang up your coat as well, like, when are you up against a stakeholder that's just, like, not about it? Um, yeah. It's mostly yeah, I'm trying to think. Our podcasts are an hour long, so we kinda go into it. But yeah, the struggle of, because I do it with, this guy named Naz, over on Design Ops Aligned, and he's like, "I'm messaged, like, every day about designers, like, struggling to have any say beyond just, like, delivering," and, um So, yeah, we kind of dove into that and our experience with it and stuff like that. Okay. Where are your podcast posted on? They are over here. Let me share with you. I've only got 2 up right now, but we're doing this, on a monthly basis, so should be good. But yeah, it's a place called Design Ops Aligned. I will link this to you maybe. Yeah, there we go. So this is the last, episode, not the one that I'm talking about right now. I think we touch on AI and handling, like, really difficult stakeholders in that one. Um, ooh, actually, this episode, the one I just recorded today, we talked about the how we see the value of being an explicit visual designer versus, like, being a problem solver. So, yeah, that was really interesting because we talked about design systems, how AI is gonna kind of take some of that work away from us, and will designers need to be a little bit more strategic in kind of their work versus just visual focused. Okay, I'm gonna go live on TikTok now as well. Cool. Let me tell you right now, the YouTube angle exponentially better than the TikTok angle, but here we are. It's what we're working with. How's your week been over in Romania? Are you a full-time designer, freelance designer? Um, what else do we have? Contract designer? Curious. Oh, that's right. Okay, and you reached out to me on Instagram. Okay. I think your name's maybe not the same. Maybe that's why I was confused. Yes. Okay. To a product company in healthcare. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. I remember all of that. And you've started now, right? Yeah, you just started. Okay. Product, yes. Yesterday. I bet they are. Cool. Yeah, take your time for sure. Especially, I obviously don't have any experience working in healthcare in Romania specifically, but I know it's very complicated in the States. So I think it's, yeah, really challenging space actually to work in. Lots of constraints, but um, still, yeah, still like really challenging to try to find ways to make things more usable if even with those constraints. I'm looking outside. I hope that's not a package for me. I guess we'll. Oh no, they're moving down the road. Okay, good. How many live sessions do you do per month? I do 2 a month, so one every other week on Wednesday. I was doing them at 7. I'm trying this one. Well, sorry, times are irrelevant when you're in a billion different time zones. I was typically they're doing them an hour later, so I'm trying to do them an hour earlier this time. So we'll see. For everybody over on TikTok, I'm reading questions off of YouTube, if you're wondering where I'm getting them from. So yeah, definitely I'm doing 2 a month. And then sometimes like I might just pop a random live on TikTok if I'm just feeling like it. My scheduled lives are twice a month. Oh, okay. So your healthcare project is for the UK. Okay. Offices in Romania. Nice. Oh, does that mean you're gonna get to travel to the UK at all, do you think? Or do you maybe not know yet? I worked, when I started here in the Netherlands, I was I my team was actually over in the UK, and I ended up becoming the lead of that team, and I was traveling once a month to the UK, which we're very close. The flight is, like, less than an hour, but, It's still, like, 4 hours door to door, and you still have to go through the airport. Luckily, at that time, it was all still part of the EU, so there wasn't, like, more regulations in place, but it was still a lot. I remember some days I would go for, like, a full day. It'd be, like, a 16-hour day. I'd wake up at, like, 4:30, fly over, workshops, meetings, like, cram as much into the day as possible, and then leave, catch a flight at, like, 9 p.m. It was brutal. But I did it to myself. Can't say that. I didn't wanna spend the night in a hotel. It was very tiring, and I did it too many times. Okay, a bunch of people over on TikTok. If you have okay, I see a couple questions. Any product, UX design questions, anything about the design field, interviews, portfolios, managing stakeholders, onboarding, whatever. If you have questions, yeah, you can ask me questions about my role if you want to. Please do. Um, I'll get started here in just a little bit. I'm a little bit early, which I'm finding like 15 minutes beforehand is obviously a good thing to do. So, yeah. Okay. So, you're going to get the chance okay. You're going to get the chance to conduct some user interviews in the UK. Nice. In person? What is this post-COVID? No, I'm so excited. You also lived 9 years in Denmark where you did your AV master's, so I adore it. Nice. That'll be so cool for designers going into a new job. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll answer that in just a minute. I think we need more of this type of format as a design community. What do you mean, Simone? Just like lives? Or like what do you mean by format? I love it. Whatever if you're referring to what's happening now. Okay, let's not spam questions. That'd be cool. 'Cause, like, I will get to them. Calm down. We don't need to, like, copy paste a bunch of them. I see them, I promise. Okay. Um, cool. I feel like it's a little dark on TikTok, isn't it? Let me see if I can adjust some lighting. Hang on. I might not be able to. It's worse. I think it's worse. Yes, live sessions. Okay. Yeah, I don't do you guys know of other design I know I've seen a few pop up on Instagram. It's okay. We're gonna leave it as is. A few designers doing live sessions on Instagram, but do you guys join any other live session? Now that I think about it, I don't know that I've seen any from designers kind of pop up. It's always YouTube videos or maybe like a lightning session or like a ADP list kind of like workshop type thing. Yeah, you don't know of any of the designers doing it? Hmm, yeah. Weird. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, why did I start doing these? No, because it's less work. Oh, and you try to try and look for them. Okay, well, now maybe after this, I'm gonna try to look for them. Um, yeah. I wonder why that is. No, okay, wait. Okay, no, I'm thinking about a few designers on LinkedIn. They go live on LinkedIn, but they're yeah. Yeah, Tommy Greco goes live. Yeah, okay, you've seen 2 to 3 on and then I guess it's more of like an interview. I've seen some, like, live interviews maybe? Yeah. Huh, I don't know. This is just for me, this is such an easy way it's like we get to do a little bit of a mentorship, like a one-on-one mentorship, but then, like, multiple people get to benefit, and especially because you can watch the live recording, bring your questions, like, that's where my head was at. I just love, like, interacting with you guys. Yeah, it's just, like, a little bit more casual, more relaxed. I don't have to plan anything, which is just, like, my favorite type. So, I'm glad you guys enjoy. It's good. I had never thought of, like, "Oh, do other designers and should I do it?" So I guess it's good that that thought never crossed my mind. Okay. I'm just I'm not happy with what's going on TikTok, so just bear with me, guys. If you wanna join me better on YouTube where there's a better angle for some reason, I'm like, self-conscious about this angle right now. I don't I and I'm never and I've done this like 100 times now. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the first, questions. Let me see. I have to look at 2 chats, so bear with me. Okay. Rox has asked, "How long have I been in the UX field?" I have been here forever. No. There's definitely people that I've met who have been around since, like, Adobe was born, but I have been doing this for about 13 years now. I graduated with my bachelor's in, 2013, but I actually started working as a front-end developer, well before that. My first year of uni, I started doing, coding, like working for startups and little internships and stuff like that. And then I transitioned to doing design, I think the year that I graduated in 2013. So yeah, a little bit of a crossover, doing a little bit of design and development. And then, yeah, it's been about 13 years now. So I've done everything from work in, like I said, startups, like wearing 1,000 hats and having nobody have any idea like what I should or should not be doing, but was doing a little bit of everything, to being an interaction designer. I was working at an agency where, I was doing coding and, um, design. Really cool, really awesome agency. It was, like, probably one of the best, like, moments of my career just because, like, the people that I was working with and just working on everything from, like, individual photographer websites to, like, heavy machinery companies' websites, so that was, like, a super cool time. And then I also worked in healthcare. I was in an internal agency, so it was like we worked for a big company, but we were like an internal design agency hub that got a bunch of, like, requests from all over the company, um, which was super cool. And then I moved to Europe, and I scaled up the corporate ladder from, yeah, kind of core designer to senior. I was a TL, they called it a team lead at the time, so I managed developers and product folks and designers, content writers, etcetera. Small team, but, like, diverse. I didn't like that, I didn't like management. So then I went back to the IC track, individual contributor, and then I went to lead designer, and now I'm a principal designer. So I'm one of actually, somebody just got promoted in my company, so I'm one of 3 now instead of one of 2. So, but I work on the highest visibility, highest strategic topics in the company at the moment, and that is my primary focus in how they utilize me as a designer. So I'm not super hands-on with Figma. Don't ask me Figma questions. I'm a lot more strategic than that. Um, Actually, I get into Figma every now and then. I just had to fill in, for a designer who was gonna be away on holiday, and we really needed to meet a deadline, so I jumped in and did all the information architecture. Um, so if I need to, I will, but mostly I advise and, like, consult and stuff. But I'm very chill about it, as you can tell. Um, cool. Okay, you started as a developer too, left uni in Denmark for front end too, pivoted to UX design. I like the research part. Exactly. Exactly. That's why I liked it as well. I liked the research more than the development. And I always say that there's a spectrum of a designer, right? On the hard end of the spectrum, you're like massive, mega into research. The other end is you're in development. I started out over here, and here's like the visual aspect of design. And then I went I went to the other end of the spectrum of design because yeah, I love the research side of it as well. So that's super cool. Yeah, that's super cool. You kind of took the same trajectory. Nice. Okay, I'm just scrolling. I'm scrolling a lot. Hang on. Um, as a principal, okay, how'd you know this already coming into this chat? Your thoughts on asking about skipping the manager role and going straight to director? Um, hmm. Directors manage, as far as I know. Directors have to have management experience. I think maybe at least in larger companies. But yeah, the higher you get on the top of the chain, like, you will need to have management experience because, like, who do you think's managing those managers? Maybe your company is set up differently, but yeah, most all directors I know have come from the management track, and it's because they have to have a bit of strategic, experience and skills, but also, yeah, they have to have those management skills. So there's really no skipping that management part. You'd have to get that experience under your belt to be director for the most part. I think s yeah. I mean, because like, yeah, even if I look on the product side, engineering side, all engineering directors and product directors, as far as I'm aware, also manage and have direct reports. So I don't I think it's very rare, and I actually can't think of any off the top of my head, any directors, even like a creative director who doesn't have reports, like direct reports. So maybe it works differently at your company. Let me know. I would be curious. Okay. What is the difference between senior and principal, by the way? So of course there's no like industry standard, right? On like what the actual difference is. But a senior, and I'll speak more from like a large company because you can be a senior designer forever, and that's fine. But like a senior designer for the most part will work across kind of a whole product space. They'll kind of own at least a large portion of the product, if not an entire kind of product space and product experience. They'll work very hand in hand with their individual PM, maybe a little bit like their group product manager, one level up, that works across multiple teams. Sometimes you'll see senior designers work across multiple teams because they can handle the scope. Just depends on like the actual work needed within each individual team. But, there's one level in between that and principal, which would be lead, or sometimes it's called like a staff designer. In a lot of companies, I don't keep up with everything that Google and Facebook, Amazon, et cetera, are doing, but yeah, staff designer, lead designer, relatively the same. But this is the split that happens, right? You go from senior, you gotta make a choice for the most part. You go the management track, or you go continue on the IC track and you go lead. But leads then oversee, a team of designers, and they really work with the departmental strategy. So they're working probably closely with directors, or at least group project managers or senior project managers, on kind of a whole track of teams, or a subset of the teams, department teams. And they really, yeah, they work on kind of more of the planning, the strategy, like visionary kind of execution of the larger product space, and they also help connect. Like if it's a big company like where I'm at, they help connect with other departments in the organization and make sure everything like continues to be aligned, and like work with other design leaders to do that. Then you have my level, which is principal level. And then I work very closely with our VPs or C-suite on the highest strategic topics. So the company priorities, anything that's strategic related to those, whether it's R&D, or yeah, research and discovery, or just something that, yeah, is incredibly important to the company. I would be put on that topic. So I don't necessarily belong to any individual part of the company. I kind of float around depending on where the priorities are, and that's kind of what most all principal designers do. For the most part, we don't have, yeah, I've talked to a few principals. We don't have reports. My counterpart in management would be a senior design manager, and then they have direct reports. And if you think about it, it's not that senior design managers don't do any strategy, but you would say like 80% of their job is dedicated to management, operations, like, kind of making sure their reports are good. 80% of the work is doing that, and then about 20% management. Sorry, 20% strategy. And then my focus is 100% strategy. Um, and then coaching and mentoring designers, overseeing lots of projects, getting designers to do lots of things is like my thing. And then just ensuring like the quality of output that actually takes place. So, yeah. Um yeah, so senior is a bit more senior is very hands-on, whereas principal is very hands-off for the most part. We advise, we consult, but it doesn't include any management. Principal roles don't include any management. That would be the senior design manager role. So, yeah. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay, the follow-up question of the previous, like, can you skip the management role and go straight to director? And you're looking to request a director role because that's what you're doing. You're only doing it if your directors don't do any management, I guess. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, yeah, I don't think I think a lot of designers, I mean, myself included, feel like they're doing well above the job that they're being paid for. But you do really have to be quite scrupulous and, like, speculative over, like, what you think you're doing versus what is required of the job, because at least in my experience, a lot of the director work, you don't actually see it for the most part. They're in lots of meetings, they're in lots of conversations, they're influencing, uh, topics and discussions, etcetera. They're connecting dots, and, like, a lot of that I don't see. Um so, I don't know, something to keep in mind. Do you need any coding knowledge for UX? No. Next question. How do you approach being a designer in a non-product team, a marketing team, by the way, and you're a sole designer? Um, what do you mean, how do you approach it? I'm trying to think how I might understand your question. How would you I mean, a problem's a problem. You still have metrics, you still have success measurements. They're different. I think I'd need a more specific question, not just a general approach, I think. Mm, Thomas, good question. How do you deal with stakeholders that are a bit too much into co-creation? Yeah. Ah, so fun. Um, I just came out with a newsletter on this. It was like and it kind of warrants on the side of, like, they don't understand your true value, but if it's more that they're just getting way too involved in your work, I think the one thing that I would say is that build a structure around ensuring that they have their moment to be involved, to be heard, but kind of do as much as you can to control that, and then have the yeah, set their expectations on, like, when you're gonna go away, create your explorations and your design solutions and come back to them. Because if it's kind of a free for all or they don't really know, like, when they're gonna get their time and place to do it, they might just kinda try to cram it in any moment you might bring something forward or even discuss it or talk about it. I think what I've seen be most successful is just really setting the expectations around the design process, um, and ensuring that you will have your moment, you will have your time, but keep it as controlled and kind of contained as possible. If you're talking more in like say you're in a crit and, they're there like, "Oh, I think it needs to be this and that," and, like, you're trying to get a design review going, but they're, I don't know, not derailing it, but they're really trying to co-create it with you in the moment when you're just asking for a review. 2 things you need to be doing is trying to really structure the type of feedback you're looking for and the feedback you are not looking for. That's super important. I highly recommend you go download my, Design Crit context template because it helps set that structure because it's, yeah, something so many designers, including myself, struggle with. But yeah, setting those boundaries, setting those expectations up front can be super helpful. And then, yeah, I think just in the way that you handle the type of feedback you get in that co-creation moment is super important, ensuring that they still feel really heard, but not reacting to it necessarily. If you don't have the rationale to kind of combat what they're saying in the moment, say you'll always take their feedback in their consideration, uh, in consideration, and then come back to them, with a well thought through kind of response or iteration of the design. I think those are, yeah, a few tactics I've employed for those really hands-on kind of stakeholders, if that's kind of where you're struggling. I'm a web designer wondering if I should develop more UX skills. Also not sure I really know what UX is. Okay. Well, cool. I recommend going and downloading my learning guide because there's a lot of really juicy, like, UX specific topics in there. And then also there's a few articles I've linked in there that are specific to evaluating if you should like help you evaluate if you're interested in even learning UX design. But just on a note, if you're a pure web designer, um, with everything that's going on in the market in terms of like long-term career strategy, I would recommend it because our problem-solving skills are going to be much more in demand than our visual execution skills. So, keeping that in mind, um, as as you consider like, yeah, how you want your career to progress forward. Just because if you consider all the things that are out now with design templates, design systems, the AI tools that are coming to the forefront, it's not happening tomorrow by any means, but the visual skills demand and ability to kind of like quickly create websites quite easily is going to be easy for other non-designers to be able to do. So I don't think it's a bad idea to flex your UX uh, toolkit and be able to approach problems a lot more strategically, if that makes sense, rather than just kind of rely on, yeah, a little bit more of the visual design stuff. Mm, sorry, you guys are asking so many questions. I hate that TikTok particularly as well. It just shows every time somebody joins. And so I have to scroll past all of that as well. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I'm being a little bit selective. Um, okay, you're struggling to get response in your user research survey. I tried a few design communities LinkedIn. Um, okay. Depends on what it is. Try to niche down, like depending on what you're actually researching. Try to find less of like, yeah, try to find a more focused community probably. Also Facebook groups sometimes that can be a good place to go, or Reddit. Reddit comes with its pros and cons, but maybe try some different avenues. I just finished my UX UI studies and got an offer for 55K in Berlin. Okay, congrats. Congrats. You tried negotiating. Should I have taken it? Um, let me just see if there's more context here. No. Okay. I mean, for your first gig, I don't know the market in Berlin, like, straight up. Everything is so localized. I even though I'm not that far from Berlin, I really couldn't tell you. I think generally, I think 55 is pretty alright for an entry-level role. Yeah, okay, yeah. Somebody on YouTube is saying 55 for a junior is quite good in Berlin. So, if anybody else is in Berlin, drop your thoughts, because I can't really say what the market is per country, but we're getting somebody who says that it's pretty good, so, yeah. It doesn't hurt to negotiate as long as maybe you aren't losing the option. I Companies in general aren't, they're not fought for designers, so you're probably not the only one, who's kind of biting at the bit. So, I definitely wouldn't lose the opportunity over it, especially for an entry level position. You can always move up. Okay, we have somebody saying, from what I've seen online, it's 35 to 45K usually for a junior UX, so 55 is quite good. Okay, there you go. Apparently, a little research goes a long way. Yeah, honestly, for me, my personal opinion, it's like, I'm not gonna take just anything and everything, but I did so many free gigs right off the back of university because the experience was more as long as I could live, obviously important, but, getting that experience as soon as possible is so good. It is so good. So, congrats, everybody. say congrats because that's I mean, I feel like especially in this industry coming right off the back of your studies and getting something, super good. Okay, we also have somebody saying, for a junior 55K is also good in the UK, which the UK market, I would maybe say excluding London, because London's kind of its own beast, but, the UK is a tech hub, so I know Berlin is as well, but super good. Okay, awesome. Okay, lots of people saying congrats, love that. Perfect. Right. Mm-mm-mm. How did you come up with projects for your portfolio? I got work. Just kidding. Mostly true, but if you're just starting out, there's 2, um, kind of fake brief projects. Have you made a Blue Sky account yet? No, I have not. Straight up? That's like the Twitter alternative, isn't it? Sorry, I'm, like, detracted from this, but I didn't do Twitter, probably don't do Blue Sky. I don't do Threads. I don't do I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. Yeah, I haven't. Is it good? Do you guys like it? Is it nice? Let me know. I'm gonna answer this question. Come with a project. Yeah, there's 2 briefs. If you're on TikTok, so scroll down to the video that says, "Don't use these like brief creators or brief generators or something like that," because there's a lot of really bad ones out there, but there's 2 that I recommend. I can't. They're not on the top of my head, but go check out that video, and that will help you create some projects for your portfolio if you're starting out. But most importantly, like, if you can do better, also freelance. Find freelance projects. Find real work projects as soon as possible, because it's more impressive. It's real work. You deal with real constraints, real client feedback, etcetera. It's just more, what is the word that I'm looking for? Real. I don't know. It's seen better by recruiters and hiring managers specifically. Uh, yeah. Okay, we're back on Blue Sky. I like it. It's chill versus Twitter. Oh yeah, I don't even say X. I refuse. Like I refuse. Like it's ridiculous. It's like um a knockoff to Elon. X is a dumpster fire. I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt. Especially a lot of the news that I see is in reference to Twitter posts, and it always has been. So I'm privy to it being a dumpster fire. But you like Blue Sky. Yeah, nice. Um, oh, hey, you had a meeting with someone that you connected with via Instagram about helping with a website. Hey, that's cool. You never know where they're going to come from. Do you post like website content or was it just like out of the blue? And then you thought the meeting went well and got a positive response after that, but then nothing since. Did I just get ghosted? Huh. I thought the meeting went well and got a positive response. Yeah, it happens, but don't be afraid to follow up as well. There's someone that I follow, they posted something about a website, and I gave them some feedback about it. Yeah, don't be afraid to follow up, like, I would say, like, 3 is a good number. Um, don't take it as, like, "Oh, I didn't hear back immediately," but, yeah, 3 is, like, they could be busy. Instagram sucks for DMs, notifications a lot of the time, so that could be something. But, I mean, I literally lost a response to somebody, while I was away on holiday as well, so don't write it off totally. I do hope you hear back from them, but don't be shy to kind of follow up, and it also helps to show, like, your eagerness as well, maybe because other people are reaching out to them. If they're showing they're more eager to help or work with them or whatever, they could be not performing, but, like, outdoing you if yeah. Yeah, it's been a week. Oh, it's only been a week. Oh my gosh. What are you talking about? Give them some time. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's only been a week. Sorry, I couldn't reach out sooner. Yeah, a week is not a long time. People are busy. Um, yeah, and especially because 'cause you're getting the context though that, like, all hell broke loose with 2 other clients, they might still be yeah, they're sounds like they're troubleshooting, they're super busy, so, like, respond to them, say, "No worries, like, I'm here," like, even say, "I'll follow up," like, hopefully when things, like, cool down, or, like, "Could I help you with that troubleshooting?" Maybe, like, find your way in, that way as well, like, don't be shy. It's all good. A week's not a long time. It's not a bad question though, because like, a week can feel like a long time if you're, like, really excited about something too, and you're like, "Oh, this seems like a cool opportunity." Okay. Any advice for someone working at a fintech in Kenya, Africa? I know where Kenya is. Appreciate the clarity. Trying to branch out. Um, I don't know what you mean by branch out. Like, are you trying to move out of Kenya? Are you trying to move out of fintech? I think that's a bit of a broad I don't know how to give advice on that, but if anybody can think of anything, like, let's help Chapo out to rocket ships. Also, can you guys let me know I'm scrolling through questions, but I just wanna take a moment. Can you guys let me know, like, how do you know about these lives? Did they just pop up on your feed? Do you sign up for notifications? Are you subscribed? I'm trying to like, did you see it in my stories? Can you guys just let me know because I'm trying to figure out the best way to like let you guys know that okay, yeah, like when these lives are happening, um like what the best method to like reach you guys with that information is and like how far in advance versus like day of. So like if you could help me out, that'd be super nice. Um, okay. List is asking, do you think I'm crazy to want to change career from IT pre-sales to UX and UI? I'm a CS grad, so I know the basics. CS, is that computer science? I think that's what I call my degree, and it's computer science. No, you're not crazy. All walks of life transition into UX. Like all walks of life. Psychology, um, sales, like you're saying, yeah, sales, CS. What's a wild one that I heard the other day? I think it was something. I think it was dermatology. Or something along those lines, like something in the medical field or something with skin. Um, because UX and UI is such a like if you're tech savvy, interested in tech, if you're a good problem solver, like because it's so related to solving problems, um, it can be really good. You don't even necessarily have to go into the visual side of UX. I wouldn't advise that. I would absolutely like work on refining those visual skills, but just like with everything, you can practice and if it's something that it's always something you can get good at. So no, you're not crazy is the answer. Okay. So, okay. Email. So I just want to read these responses. Email, IG stories. Mm. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know. Subscribe to YouTube, TikTok. TikTok can be hit and miss. Okay, that's helpful to know. Let me see if you guys are responding as well. Push notifications. You have them enabled when I go live. Super helpful. They pop up. Ugh, okay. Live pops up, pops in feed. Okay, cool. Helpful information. Good. I'll kind of keep doing that then. It sounds like the method of kind of letting you know in an email like a few days before, but then also, yeah, kind of letting you know in advance day of. Sounds good. And if you're subscribed, then you definitely get like a notification, whether it's on YouTube or TikTok. If you are on TikTok specifically, you can go to my profile and turn on the little notifications. So, like, for sure, it will let you know when I go live. So, do that. And I think maybe on YouTube you can do the same. There's like a tier. There's like subscribe, but then there's like a notifications tier. I sound like I'm like your grandma, like trying to figure out how these platforms work. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So do that. Great. Thank you. How should UX teams use AI? Are there specific LLMs that you would recommend for certain things? Thanks. That's twofold. I'm heavily involved in our AI strategy right now, and there's 2 ways that UX teams. So if you're saying UX teams, you probably mean more within, like, the processes of UX versus, like, the actual product utilizing AI. I have to assume that's what you mean. Um, I mean, well, number 1, like, you do have to be a little bit careful. We have now built, an internal LLM that, like, scrapes all our internal documents and research documents and a bunch of other stuff that, like, it allocates resources and helps us find it and stuff like that. I would just say you have to be a little bit careful if you're using something more open source, just because, yeah, you're using something open source. So if you go and specifically say, "My company wants to increase their conversion by 10%. Recommend me some design solutions to do that." Just be a little bit careful, like, when you're using open models. But I'm still classic ChatGPT. I haven't even really I upgraded a little bit to their latest model, but I find the free version completely adequate. Um, so I use that a lot for, like, discovery. I actually have a whole article about this. I just remembered it. It's how to use your AI in your product design process, like, right now effectively. What are the points that I say rather than rambling them on? So, utilizing AI for early stage research. Google's Gemini, I was using that for a really long time. I've kind of transitioned back to ChatGPT. I couldn't really tell you why. Oh, you know what it is? I think first, ChatGPT wasn't scraping the web when I was using it, then Gemini was, but then Gemini was limited on what it scrapes for the web, and now ChatGPT it does. So I'm trying to get the most relevant, up-to-date information with whatever LLM I'm using. Um, I guess that's why I'm transitioning. So I guess that's part of my recommendation would be, like, use one that can utilize the most up-to-date information. But seriously, go on my Medium, and it's how to realistically use AI in your product design process today. And I talk all about how to do it within early stage research, providing you with prompts, how to analyze the market, find your target market, identify personas, conduct a competitive analysis or find your competitive analysis, doing a SWOT analysis, understanding how to measure success. So I'm designing a new checkout process. What metrics should I determine, especially if you're not super adept at business acumen? That can be really beneficial, kind of educate yourself there. Also, I am loving Miro's I haven't tried FigJam's, but, Miro's synthesis AI, also ideation AI. So it's generative, in, creating more ideas, like helping you brainstorm, but my favorite is when I run a huge workshop, it actually helps me synthesize the ideas that came together. Love that so much. Understanding what are the primary use cases, so identifying which, scenarios that you should be looking into and analyzing user flows. And then Miro can kind of help you actually generate those user flows. It's like having a little sidekick, which is super nice. Surveys, how to articulate and build surveys as well. So using AI to conduct faster and better UX research. This is a jam-packed article. I'm just realizing. I haven't looked at this in a little while. Um, how to conduct good, articulate good questions and figure out what the interview goals are, identifying your target audience, creating a guide, logistics, also creating a moderated usability test guide and brief, and then faster synthesis, of course, all that creation and stuff, like getting in the results and being able to quickly analyze that. I've also got some resources in there about how to test your design solutions with predictive AI. Super fun. Um, yeah, I just think predictive AI is super interesting. Looking at some synthetic users, brainstorming with AI, kind of already mentioned that. But yeah, big caveat that don't, of course, only um, rely on AI. You can't just be like copy paste, whatever AI outputs. Make sure you're still giving it a super extra evaluation. I will link that article over on YouTube if you want to check it out. Yeah. Like the biggest benefit for LLMs right now is that early stage research and kind of brainstorming, identifying target audiences, competitors, evaluating them, identifying primary scenarios and user flows, etc. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff to be able to do with LLMs. I realized you just asked about LLMs, but then I went into Miro, so it's all relevant. But yeah, that's over on Medium. What are the best courses do you recommend starting this job? I have recommendations in my learning guide. So go download that. Okay, great. At what age did you get into UX and how many years experience do you have now? Well, somebody could have already done some math. But I got into that's kinda tricky to say because I designed my first website. Please take all these quotations with a lot of, grain of salt, at probably 16, I wanna say. I worked at a fruit stand and, hauling, like, 80-pound bags of potatoes, by the way. I was jacked. No, it was great. Little local fruit stand, super nice, and they needed a website. So I asked them if I could do it. I designed it and developed it, coded the whole thing. Uh, yeah, that was like my first experience doing that. And then, yeah, from 16, I think, yeah, I started college at 18. So realistically, from there, I was doing little projects and whatnot. But I say that I have like 13 years of experience. I don't go all the way back to 16. But once I started doing like proper freelance design projects, getting out of front end development, um, then that's so I say 13 years. But my first experience, and then even before that, if we're being perfectly honest, I was the go to friend to customize your MySpace profile. So all of my friends came to me if they wanted to, because back then, like MySpace was like a free for all. You could do inline HTML and inline CSS, and you could do custom cursors, custom backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. And like, I don't know how, probably just living in a very small town. I just learned all that stuff, and yeah. So I remember one of my friends. He wanted a camo background and then I think he had a flame cursor following him on your profile or something like that. And I did that, and I was like I think I was 13 doing that, yeah. Yeah, MySpace, loved their HTML snippets. Yeah, I love the ability to customize MySpace, it was super fun. Obviously, it was hacked and, like, all that kind of stuff, and everything's locked down now, but, it was good at the time. Good old days. Okay, I was considering doing the Google UX design course to get a certificate. Is that worth doing if I already did a boot camp? It is 50 a month, and I thought I could do it in a month. The Google course is 50 a month? No, it's free. The Google UX course is free for sure, right? Yeah. But your boot camp is 50 a month. I would say, like, if you're gonna do anything from I haven't obviously taken it myself, but everything I've seen online is that the Google UX course is like the first thing that you do because it's free, it's, like, super entry level, and then depending on what your boot camp actually covers, I would say that that's, like, the next step. So, s the first module is free, but you still need to pay for it. Oh, I thought for sure the UX course was free, but you're just saying the first module is. Um, the only thing I can really say to you is, like, the Google UX course is good, but there's one aspect I don't like, the feedback from the fellow users, not actually experts, so it feels a bit odd. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say is look at your boot camp, look at the syllabus and the curriculum you're learning, look at the Google UX course, and are there any topics that are being covered that your boot camp isn't covering, that you think is valuable and necessary? If it feels like a lot of the same, probably don't do it. It's not gonna be like, it's not gonna look better to have the Google UX course, like Google on your resume or or profile or anything. Like, I can tell you that right now because everybody and their mother takes that course. Um, so it's not gonna, like, benefit you that way. Okay, so the Google UX course structure is great. They have lovely assignments, just the feedback part is a bit odd. Okay, super helpful. If anybody, let me know if anybody on TikTok also has anything to say about the UX course. But actually, there's a lot of YouTube videos from people like thoroughly covering the UX course, like in detail, showing you the ins and outs. I highly recommend maybe going and watching one of those so you know what you're in for and then evaluate it that way. Yeah. Uh, what type of case study topic will you advise for a new designer to include in the design portfolio? That is what? Topic. Go download my learning guide. Case study topic is like that's not a thing. It's a project. It's a it's a design solution. It's a brief. It's a problem to solve. It's something. Um, so download my learning guide because it sounds like maybe you need to learn a little bit more before you jump straight into figuring out what case study you're doing. Oh, networking tips for juniors. I'm shy about putting myself out there, but I don't know it's necessary. Or but you know it's necessary. Yeah, it's kind of the way the market is right now. It just yeah, it's a bit of a network market. Like a bit of a recommendation market right now, whether we like it or not. Also, just to like encourage everybody about their network, my network has saved my caboose more times than I would like to admit. If I'm in a situation where like I'm sick of my job, I need to transition, first place I go to is my network rather than like alone searching for um yeah, just rando job things. Like the amount of which I've applied to jobs and not gotten them just on my own versus, like, reaching out and seeing if anybody has open opportunities or can make me a recommendation or whatever, the success rate of my network is exponentially more. Um, so if that's a little bit encouraging, and I can say that as an introvert myself, like, I hate like, if you guys catch me at a a conference or some sort of meetup and stuff, it's just not. I don't just it's not good. I didn't start out this way, and the only like the way I can communicate and all that kind of stuff now is just because I've seen what a necessity it is to be successful in this career. But as a junior, I would just say, um, just try to do your best to put yourselves in positions where other people can like kind of contact you. So maybe you're shy at putting yourself out there, but, it doesn't hurt to and I'm not advising anybody needs to be like a content creator, but it doesn't hurt to kind of share your thoughts or ideas, whether that's through comments on, LinkedIn post or stuff like that. Just like a very gentle kind of way into like looking like you're active and kind of participating in the community, but also, and this is more personal preference, but like participating in local meetups UX meetups they're probably all virtual now for the most part, maybe doing that. That can be a way to do that. Um, because I also gotta say that being a UX designer and being successful in UX design does take a semblance of confidence, and, that's because we have to influence and we have to challenge. And so it all kind of ties together in terms of, like, putting yourself out there. Like, to be a good designer, you kinda have to do that in your day-to-day as well. So it doesn't hurt to practice just in those little ways ahead of needing to do it in your job as well. So keep that in mind, but just take baby steps and, you can do little things like, ah, try to set goals for yourself. So maybe like leave 3 comments on LinkedIn or Medium articles or whatever a week. Because you know what it does? Like, for example, try to come up with a scenario. Let's say you go comment on somebody's Medium article and they're working for a company you want to work for. You do that, and like 2 weeks later, you see a job opening that you're like super excited about. Um, maybe it kind of opens the door to maybe say, and maybe they respond to your comment because you're like, oh my god, it's amazing. And they're like, thank you so much, whatever. Or you have a thoughtful discussion back and forth. And a comment isn't like you know, majorly putting yourself out there, but you kind of open up this door a little bit to then maybe DM them and say, "Hey, I know we were just chatting about your article, but I saw that you guys now have this opening. Let's talk about it." You know what I mean? Like, it just gives you a little bit more of, uh, yeah, doors kind of opening, windows maybe opening in your network, which can be good. Uh, yeah. Oof, I feel that networking part. I'm more of an introvert as well. I'd recommend ADP List. It was amazing going on one-on-ones with people online, more comfortable than a group of people. Yeah, yeah. So that's great. If it's yeah, I think that's yeah. If you're looking for that kind of mentorship, but I would say I don't know how. Yeah, I guess I think of ADP List and like yeah, you are looking for mentorship. You're looking for advisement. So like, did you use it in a way to expand your network or connect with other designers? Curious. Also, if anybody has other networking tips that are, like, introvert friendly, please drop them in the chat. How would you approach transition from middle UX, UI designer to more like product designer? Straight up, like, again, there's no industry standard for either. Uh, sorry, I'm just looking at the time, seeing how long, I've been going. There's no industry standard, so less so worrying about, like, transitioning to the general idea of a product designer, figure out where you want to go be a product designer, like a company or a couple companies that maybe you want to be a product designer in. Look at their role requirements and figure out where your gaps are. Because generally, I could tell you that a middle UI UX designer is exactly the same as a product designer. They're interchangeable. Those titles are pretty much interchangeable. They do not do or have any different responsibilities, but the nuance really falls in whatever company that you actually end up working for. Um, so the best thing you can do if you really want to take that next step into a product designer, also first and foremost, just like start calling yourself a product designer. Just do that. You can do UX and UI, product designer. Like there's really nothing more to it. Um, so, like, to better position yourself and I've done this as well, like, if I've done a little bit of service design in my product design or UX role, I've called myself a service designer before, and then I've gotten service design jobs. You gotta be able to back it, of course, but if you are looking to land a product design role, you need to go evaluate the actual job and responsibilities that they're asking for. Hmm. Okay, we're back talking about ADP List. I used it to get feedback on a CV portfolio, tips about job hunting, especially once you return to Romania and had no idea about the job market. Talked to about 7 people about them recommending me to a small agency because they liked me as a person. Okay. So you made, like, genuine, like, stronger connections, but you did it by way of getting advice on your stuff. Okay. I didn't even know that that agency was hiring, and I just found myself one day with a LinkedIn request and message from the person saying, "Hey, okay, love that strategy." So you're going in and you're getting portfolio tips and, job hunting tips and whatever, which is always valuable, honestly, really no reason to do that. But then you came top of mind when an opening happened. Okay, we can all write that down in our notes because that's, that's super smart. Like, that's great. I think it's a bit more of a time investment for sure because 'cause you're having, like, 30-minute conversations with, however many people, but that's also a great approach if you're a little bit more introverted, do better one-on-one. You're also benefiting from getting portfolio and resume feedback or whatever, so awesome. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay. Nice. Man, you got some crazy people on here tonight. Um, Thomas Kelly saying that I've just popped up. You don't get any UX stuff on your For You page, but this live popped up. Man, TikTok's algorithm is just, like, so impressive. The more that I use TikTok, and the more that I use Instagram and any other social platform, I'm like, "Can they all please be similar to TikTok?" I know there's, cons to that because you can really just, like, find yourself in the far depths of a particular theme or trend or whatever, but, oh my gosh, it just recommends such good content. Mm, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to find I don't wanna miss any questions. So I'm, like, making sure. Mm. How can you tell a designer has bad Figma skills? If you watch them in Figma. Actually, if anybody watches me do stuff in Figma, I am awful at it. Does anybody else does that happen for anybody else? Like, you're such a quick designer. You're just like, you can, like, crank it out. But the second somebody's over your shoulder because they, like, need to see something in your file or whatever, you just, like, forget everything about how to use Figma. 'Cause I just turned into this, like, "How do I copy paste?" No. How can you tell a designer is bad in Figma skills? If it takes you way longer than it should to deliver something, that's how I know your Figma skills are not proficient. This is not visual skills, because that's not what you asked. You asked me Figma skills, and the way that I know you're not proficient in Figma is if you take too long. That's how. Okay. TikTok is telling me I've met the hour mark. So I probably want to answer a few more questions just because, like, I recorded a podcast before this and it's a bit much for me for my voice. So maybe I'll just be a little bit more selective. I'm an in-house designer, so sick of working with the same sucky design system for years. Change it. Suggest a new design system. Suggest a design system update. I say that knowing that's very unrealistic, and the proof case of value for the company on that is very difficult. Um, yeah. I mean, that sucks. If you really don't feel like you can make any changes with it, if you can't try to make a use case to improve it, mm, if you only have 2 projects, should you start applying? Yes. Yeah, you can have 1 project and start applying. 2 is better. 2 is definitely better. But there's no, like, perfect number. I always say 3 is a good number, but realistically, most companies won't even look at all 3. So as long as they're relevant, the work experience and the skill set you're utilizing in those is relevant to the jobs that you're applying for already, 2 is good. Start applying. Um, is there an industry? Might see my voice is, like, going. What did I just say? Okay. Is there an industry that you haven't gotten the chance to work in, but you really want to? For me, it'd be gaming. Mm. Gaming industry right now is scary. Yeah, I gotta get some tea with honey. You are correct. That's probably what I'm gonna do after this. Good advice. An industry I haven't worked in. It's gonna be a bit off topic. It's not gonna be, like, perfectly correlated with, like, digital just, like, purely digital experiences, but there was a time in my career where I was, like, very close to trying to, transition to at the time, it was called an experiential designer. I really wanted to design, like, interactive experiences in, like, museums, and stuff like that. So, I remember reaching out to people who were already doing it, how did they get into the field and stuff like that. Um, yeah, it just seems like that interactive piece, especially kinda some of the digital stuff, the experience, like, I think of the museums in Japan and some of the other places. It's that element of physical and digital, which I find just, like, super fascinating. Not like VR, not necessarily AR, like, exclusively, but yeah, how you actually experience something in an environment. Yeah, I just think that would be super cool, um, to go into. Yeah, that'd be really neat. You got me thinking about it again. I haven't thought about it in a really long time. So, yeah, that's super cool. Mm. I'm starting to build an app. I'm considering not doing a user survey. Can I have your advice? You better talk to users at some point. You don't have to do a survey, but you better talk to users somehow. Full stop. There's nothing more to say, whether you validate it or you do initial research. Otherwise, you're doing it blindly. Mm-mm-mm. I saw recently a TikTok about a museum where people could make a drawing, and another machine would scan it and make it small, rigid 2D model, and it appear in the aquarium. I feel like I was a kid watching that. I wish I was there. Yeah, like, that's so cool. Like, it's such a cool, like, transition from that, like, digital, like, interface, however that those people were drawing, to, like, the system that then translated to the 2D model and then it appearing like, it's so much more of a complex space. Like, for a while, I was working in transportation, and the experience for the user transitioned from, like, yeah, you booked the, um, transport, like, on your phone, whatever, classic, but then there was this whole experience about communicating with the driver, the pickup experience, the actual transport experience, like, what was in the car, what type of, environment, like, all these different things, and just that little taste was, like, so fascinating. If you do something that was purely for, like, entertainment and joy rather than, like, a problem to solve or more utilitarian, even more better. Like, so I just think that'd be so cool. Nice. Mm. Okay. I think I'm only gonna do a few more questions. You guys have got some really good questions tonight, but I think I'm just gonna do a few more, um, because my voice is going. Just dropped in to say thanks for the help. Love that, Julian. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um, okay. I have an opportunity. Doing a certificate. Okay, there's a lot of okay. Generally, I'm gonna try to bulk answer a lot of the questions I'm saying about like beginner courses, getting certificates, does it matter, getting training. The type of certificate, the type of boot camp you do, like the name of it, whatever it is, does not matter. Oh, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Go enjoy your dinner. Thanks for all the questions and stories. Hope we catch you on the next one. Um, so certificates, you at like entry level, but it doesn't matter which one you join. What matters is the content within that boot camp or course that you actually get out of it. And 9 times out of 10, whatever course you take, whatever boot camp you're in, is not going to be sufficient to get you a job right out the gate. Like it's just not. Um, Maybe some of the really way more expensive ones will be, but even then, that's a little bit of a minefield. So, if having, like, a certificate, boot camp, whatever on your resume is not going to boost your chances in any way, shape, or form, you would be just as good off going and getting experience, self-teaching yourself, whatever, what is necessary to then get, to do a comprehensive, fake design brief or doing a small freelance project and showcasing your skills because at the end of the day, the education part of your resume is not even remotely as important as what hiring managers and companies see skills expressed in your portfolio or the work of your resume. So the work, bar none, the work you do, fake or not, is always going to be so much more important than the education that you got. But that's of course, that's why it's important to be very, particular about the education you go and get and where you spend your money, because that should only fuel you to be able to then go get like, confidently go get that experience and produce that work, if that makes sense. So, keep that in mind. Experience will always outweigh education. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. What's something you're proud of, but haven't had a chance to brag about? Oh boy. I brag about everything. No, what is something actually, I think maybe just in detail. So um, recently did a talk, at the Ways conference about kind of the story that I was able to create, that kind of pivoted, a very large company's kind of strategic direction with their product, crafted kind of the 3 to 5 year vision for that, and I really emphasized, like, the story element of that and, like, the packaging of the end and how we conveyed that story to have such a strong impact. But the thing I haven't been able to brag about is the process that I created behind, like, that end story. Like, the end story was like a 10-minute video, polished really nice, but it was 2.5 months of the most intensive work that I have ever done in my entire design career, and I created basically, our senior director of user experience came to me because my manager recommended me. And this is bypassing people above my level, by the way, which I still don't understand to this day fully. But I gained this reputation in the company. If you want something fast and high quality, I'm the go to person. And especially if you want something like our leadership wants something of that, I, I just, I'm the person that people have come to. But even so, bypassing some of our more senior designers to come to me and say, "Hey, we need to develop this product vision, and we don't know how to do that." So we're pulling you in. And I had no idea how to do that at all. It was way above my pay grade at a scale and complexity I have never even remotely touched. And but I did it. I crammed my little heart out looking into facets and facets of like workshop frameworks as we knew we needed to include at a huge company so many different people. I think we ended up including hundreds of people at the end of it. We all did I did all of this within a 2.5 month period. I led the entire project, phased out the approach, invited all the stakeholders, flew people over from other countries to like make it all happen. And like the process that I created to do that then went on to allow, I think, 20 different departments within my company to craft their own departmental product visions. And essentially, like what it makes me so proud about that is that there was so many other initiatives that had tried to do that, but it was one of the it was a lot of one of those things where designers went away in a corner. They designed something really cool, like really cool, really good, but didn't include anybody. And they came out, it was mega hype for about a week, and then we never heard about any of it ever again. Because they didn't include strategy, they didn't include anybody. And it was just like this really cool visual like product thing. But it died, like, almost as fast as it was, released, and I did not want to do that. So, yeah, the success story is that that didn't happen. It, resulted in millions of dollars in investment, a complete reorg change, setting company priorities now. It's been what year is it? 3 years running. So, yeah, but that particular process that I had no idea what I was doing at the start turned out to be such a banger. That's something I'm super proud of. So, and I do plan to eventually come out with an external like framework for it and share it more broadly. But yeah, so I'm super happy you asked me that question. Um, it's my Everest, absolutely. So I love talking about it. I think on that note, I am going to end it there because I think that's a good note. I've got some very cool stuff coming up in my newsletter. I'm actually, I think it's, what is it, this coming Sunday? 2 Sundays from now? I don't remember, but I'm going to be covering how to sell uh, research validation to difficult stakeholders. If they're like, "Oh, we don't need to talk to users. Oh, we don't need to do any research. Let's just put it in." I am going to be covering that in my newsletter coming up, and I've got some really really cool topics that I'm going to be sharing over on Medium as well. So definitely make sure you're following me on both of those. Subscribe to my newsletter. I'm almost at 3K actually. So if you could like go sign up, that'd be super cool because um, yeah, it's just a good time. I've completely reformatted every single edition that I come out with is a very like there's something you can take away and like try to apply to your day-to-day job if it's relevant for you, like immediately. So I want to make sure everything's super practical. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Loved all the questions. Super good. I do this twice a month, every 2 weeks on Wednesday. I am here YouTube, and TikTok. So make sure you've got like notifications on, you're subscribed, however it works, so that I show up in your feed or whatever. And then if you want to, you can always go watch the recordings of my lives over on YouTube. They're all over there. And I talk about like what topics I cover in each of those. So if you're looking for a particular topic I didn't cover it now, it's probably over on YouTube. So, all right, I'm gonna end it there. I'll see you guys in the next one.